Hello friends, and welcome to yet another episode of Economic Sutra on Sansad TV. On this episode, we are going to look at something very interesting. The idea of creating a 3D digital twin for the whole country. So we're going to look at how this is already being experimented in Nagaland. And so we're going to make a trip to see how Kohima as a city is already being converted into a 3D digital twin. Now, before I go to what a 3D digital twin is, let me say, all of you are already conversant with a 2D digital twin of not just of India, but of the whole world. After all of you use for navigation various things like Google Maps, Mapples, or whatever happens to be a favorite navigation mapping system. So you already know what a 2D digital twin is. Now the idea is to extend this into a 3D digital twin, where you essentially have all the buildings, but you can see it at different levels. Not just that, you can even go underground and even create a digital twin of all the utilities that are under the ground. You can look at them from different directions and from different angles. And of course, very importantly, you do this not just for the cities, but also of rural areas, of forests, mountains, rivers. And you do this in sequence of time, so that it's not just at one point in time, but over a period of time. So this would be a 3D digital twin. Now, what is the point of making this? Well, there are many uses of this. And as you will see through the course of this program, one is the obvious one. Well, if you just build a digital twin of something, it's just radically easier to manage that thing. So for example, you take a city, you build a digital twin of it, you can actually real time see where the buildings are, where the roads are, and so on. You can of course keep monitoring things as things evolve, but you can do much better planning. For example, if you're going to insert a new building, you can very quickly mimic what the skyline would begin looking like. You can simulate, for example, what will be the impact of that in terms of moving traffic and so on. So there are many things that you can do. Also, you can, as you will see, do things like disaster management, but even simulate future disasters that could possibly happen. So this is another interesting thing that you can do. So there are literally many uses. And of course, many government services can be provided much better. For example, you can map all the property rights onto this 3D digital twin. You can put even data on taxes collected and other things which the government is interested in. Now, of course, this whole thing can be done just like with 2D mapping. We can do this entirely privately. But of course, one idea is that in exactly the same way that India created an India Stack 1, which is a publicly provided infrastructure for certain digital assets such as identification and for payments, and that allowed India to very quickly create a platform where certain digital infrastructures provided as public goods that allowed a large number of private entrepreneurs, startups, etc., to leverage that to create all kinds of new business models and new ideas. So perhaps, and we can explore that, we could even provide this 3D digital twin as India Stack 2.0 as a public infrastructure, and we can look at the pros and cons of that as well. So before I go any further, let me welcome onto the show my friend Matum. He is from the government of Nagaland, and he runs this unit which is doing this 3D digital twin of Nagaland in general, but more specifically of Kohima. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir, for having me in your show.
So why don't you first introduce your unit and yourself?
As you have mentioned, I am Matang Kitan. I'm the project director of Nagaland GIS Remote Sensing Center, which is under Planning and Transformation Department, Government of Nagaland. By profession, a computer science engineer, working in the area of geospatial technology, remote sensing, GIS, space-based technology, leading a team of scientists and engineers working towards perspective planning, development, growth of the state.
So how big is your team?
Sir, we have a total of 26 of us engineers and scientists working, apart from some around 10 non-technical staff, sir.
How long have you been doing this? I mean, before you joined the government, what were you doing?
Sir, I joined about 24 years back, and before joining, of course, I was a student. I did my computer science engineering from Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, that's in Tamil Nadu. And after my completion of my course, my degree, and I joined the government service back in.
And how long has this government of Nagaland unit been in existence?
Surprising to put it in this way, like this geospatial technology for our state, it started way back. The government had a unit of GIS unit back in 2002-03.
Wow, that's really early.
And it's amazing, like the government did realize the importance of this geospatial technology back then. Officially, the state government, we started this Nagaland GIS and Remote Sensing Center in 2006. We have been working in different geospatial technological areas, like as I have mentioned, remote sensing, GIS, space-based technology. Sir, our center, GIS, is also a hub for innovation, capacity building, research and development, and skill development in geospatial science.
Okay, Matum, why don't you show us what you have done with this 3D digital twin of Kohima?
It's an integration of technology, advanced drone and 3D modeling. Sir, I can show you the 3D model of Kohima city. As you can see, like we have Kohima city in a 3D format, where you can have a complete visualization of, and it gives you that immersive view of the real world.
So what area of Kohima is this?
This is a colony called Paramedical Colony, and we have covered the entire Kohima city, about 20 square kilometer area, completely 3D and with an accuracy of...
So can you take me down from the air right into the street level?
Right, sir. Right, sir. This is the hospital. This is the ground that you can see. These are the different landslide areas that you can see, where we can do 3D reconstruction of disaster areas.
And you literally have all the, every tree, every house, every road is mapped.
Right, sir. We have.
So what level of accuracy do you have? Can you go down to as much as 1 centimeter?
The level of accuracy that we have worked in our 3D for Kohima city is 3 to 5 centimeter accuracy. And there is definitely possibilities to go down to 1 centimeter accuracy, but it will require a further research and work and studies in this regard, sir.
Okay, so can you give me a flavor of a use case? Earlier we were talking about the fact that you can actually map the utilities in Kohima, for example, the drainage systems, and of course the electricity supply. For example, you can look at how the drainage works, how various pipes work. You can also look at, for example, electricity supply. You can look at how electricity is being supplied to poles. Kohima city is mostly above ground electricity supply, so it comes to the poles, and then from the poles it goes to various houses. Right. And you can use other data that the government has on metering and so on to be able to actually keep track of how electricity supply, how much transmission losses are happening, and so on. Can you just illustrate this for me on your map?
Sir, I can show you the electricity mapping of Kohima city. Here you can see the different LT line, HT line that has been connected to different households. And this has to be integrated with the power department database of each and every household information, so that we can have information of the amount of energy being consumed by the different consumers.
So take me down to one area and show me how you have mapped it.
Sir, as you can see, that each and every pole line that you can see, that has been connected to each and every household.
So take me down to one household, one pole, and show me how that works.
Sir, as you can see, the
Go
different
further,
poles.
yeah. So this is one pole.
Yes, sir.
And these are all okay. I got you. So if you can keep it static here, so that we can show people. These are all the poles that are there.
Right, sir.
And from each one of the poles, these lines that are going are the electricity lines that are going to individual houses.
Right, sir.
And now, can you use data here from the electricity department and map it onto the metering? Can you do that?
Yes, definitely, sir. That requires the integration of this line with the database of the electricity.
So you'll be able to
department,
tell
sir.
who is paying bills,
Right,
how much
sir.
is being stolen, how much is being lost in distribution.
Yes.
All of that you can tell literally pole by pole in the whole city.
Yes, in due course of time, that is the aim, that is the ultimate goal, sir.
And ultimately, I suppose this can be done for gas, it can be done for all kinds of other utilities as well.
Yeah, this is one, this electricity. Similarly, as you have mentioned, be it underground, overground, it's a question of where you want the technology to move forward.
So of course, there are many other uses of this 3D technology, and it doesn't have to be static as in the case of the electricity poles. We can in fact use dynamic data as well. That you are using for example, traffic management. So you can use the traffic data, and then you can simulate, for example, what would happen if you change something in that. So it's not just to figure out what the blockage is, but you can actually try out different options and then simulate them to see how they would move around if you made some changes. So why don't you introduce me to your team member who is working on doing these 3D simulations?
Right, sir. Along with me, I have two technical specialists, one from drone and one from 3D.
Hi, I'm Mr. Chubawati. I'm a senior analyst at Nagaland GIS and Remote Sensing Center. I basically look after the remote sensing and the image processing part, where we usually do the digital image processing of satellite imageries, and also we do the 3D reconstruction of these drone images. And this 3D imaging, like, we bring it in the platform where we give this product to the line department users, where they use it for the 3D perspective, immersive, and then where they use it for the town planning or the various perspective planning of the towns and other areas of uses.
So I believe what you have done is taken the traffic in Kohima, which by the way is a small city, but because of its hilly terrain, I believe suffers severely from traffic jams. So I believe you have mapped that out and then also tried to see how you can solve that.
Yes. Yes, sir. In order to demonstrate, I can just show you in the screen also how we have done the coverage. In order to mitigate some of the problems that we face in our daily traffic problems in Kohima, as you have already said that we have a very narrow, because of the difficult terrain that we have room for very narrow roads only, and there is not much of alternative roads also. So what we did was we did UAV coverage of the entire area.
So did you manage to find the sources of the problem? How
Yes.
did you manage to simulate the bottlenecks?
Yes.
So show us how that works.
In fact, we also capture videos as well as reconstruction of the 3D, bringing it back and then do the reconstruction of the entire area after processing.
So after you worked out what the problem is, did you manage to also work out some possible solutions?
Yeah, that is what we have tried to do here. Like, where, like, in order to avoid intersections, we try to simulate the best way possible where traffic should be rerouted.
So why don't you show us one example of this?
Here is one example of where we have done the simulation.
So explain to me what the issue is.
Yeah. We have identified some of the bottlenecks, the main junctions which is leading to the traffic jams.
So what is this area?
Yeah, this is one of the junctions which is called the BR Hill. And also another junction is called the High School Junction, where we have done the rerouting simulations.
So show us one of these.
Yeah. Let me just give you an example of one of the junctions where we have this traffic problems. We simulated the traffic flow and then tried to reroute, which is the best possible way in order to avoid these intersections. The intersections are causing these problems.
So what intersection is this one?
Yeah, this is one particular case which is called the PW junction. We tried to simulate the traffic flow in such a way that we avoid this.
So what is the source of the problem? Why does this traffic get jammed?
Yeah, as I've said, the problem is the intersections.
Okay.
And if we avoid this intersection, there will be a continuous flow of traffic.
So what is your solution to this?
Okay, as mentioned, we have tried to simulate a particular junction, which I wanted to show it in the screen right now. Intersections are the problems which is causing the traffic jams, which is accumulating the traffic jams. So we have come with a simulation where we can avoid these intersections.
So show me one particular intersection for this.
Okay, this is one particular junction which is called the High School Junction. Here we have tried to reroute in this way, which is simulated on the screen. If we avoid all this and reroute in this way, we are avoiding these junctions which is causing the traffic jams.
So I hope you got some sense of how 3D mapping can be used for simulations to, for example, reroute traffic. Without actually doing it, you can actually plan it ahead. But much of this is based on drone technology. And what you have to do is to look at the way that the team in Kohima is actually using drones in order to map all of this. So why don't you introduce your drones expert?
Yes, sir. Here I also have my drone expert, Engineer Atho.
Hi, my name is Engineer Atho. I'm currently working in Nagaland GIS and Remote Sensing Center as an engineer, and I am in charge of the UAV division. We have been using UAV technology for the last 10 years, and we customize and assemble our own drones using 3D printers and CNC technology. According to our research and development, the trajectory of this 3D visualization and drone technology is boundless. As this technology develops, we envision our drones to become smarter, more agile, and to be equipped with increasingly sophisticated sensors. The impact of this technology will be boundless, and we envision a future where sky is not the limit, but it will be the starting point for innovation. Thank you for having me. So basically, I joined Nagaland GIS in the year 2013, and we started with very basic drones because the technology wasn't as advanced as what it is right now. Initially, we used the drones for basic aerial photogrammetry and data collection work. Now, as this technology advanced, things became more sophisticated, and with the help of gimbal stabilization and more advanced flight controllers, we were able to upgrade our aircrafts in such a way that it had autonomous capabilities. So basically, when we do a survey work, the drone flies automatically and it flies in a grid pattern. This is done in order to have the best coverage of our area of interest. We have site laps and overlaps. So basically, that is how we capture images, and we need to have an overlap because there needs to be common tie points between different images.
So is this standard, the way you have these patterns, or did you develop them specially for hilly terrain?
Right, sir. So basically, we use an open source software. It's called Mission Planner. So we can also improvise in our own way, but there is a standard principle for mapping, and basically it is done in a grid pattern. Now, during the midpoint, we had the capability to use cameras in different directions, both in aerial nadir and oblique perspective, and this is what allowed us to capture images of the landscape or the area of interest in different perspectives. And this is what helped us realize our vision of 3D twin mapping or 3D visualization. And using this technology, now we are able to come up with 3D models with high resolution.
So are you printing your own drones, I believe?
Yes, sir. We 3D print our own drones. Basically, we have a range of drones at our center.
Give us some sense of the kinds of drones you now use.
Yes, sir. So basically, we have a quadcopter, which is used for small area surveys, a hexacopter, which would be used for payload deliveries. We have a vertical takeoff and landing drone, which is used for delivery of life-saving medicines. And we are also doing research and development on a delta wing hybrid frame, which will be used for large area mapping, but that is still under research and development.
So one of the things that you have done using both the 3D technology and the drones recently relates to the mapping of certain disaster zones and disaster recovery. So tell us the story of how, for example, when there was a big fire in Kohima, you were able to help the fire department.
Right, sir. So we worked very closely with the Nagaland State Disaster Management Authority. So when there was a fire a big fire incident in Kohima, the Disaster Management Authority, they called us, and we are always on standby.
So where was this fire?
This was in the capital city, Kohima, sir.
Which area was it?
It's in the heart of the city, sir.
Okay.
So as soon as we got the information, we took off the drone and we started giving live real-time footage to the Fire and Emergency Services and also to the Disaster Management Authority, so they could have the incident site, the situational awareness from a different perspective, that is from the area.
So how exactly is this useful? I mean, basically you are able to tell the firefighters the exact place where the fire is, what angle, which simply the firefighters wouldn't be able to tell on the ground.
Right, sir. So we are able to identify the epicenter of the fire. This gives them a very important information.
Live information.
Live information.
So I believe you also have similar problem with rock falls on the new highway between Dimapur and Kohima.
Right, sir.
So there was a very horrific incident recently which went viral on social media as well, of a rock falling, crushing a car. And viewers can see it on their screen right now, the particular incident. Now this incident, after this happened, you, I believe, were called in to first of all work out exactly how the rock fell in this specific case.
Yes.
So can you tell us about that, and also how, having sort of been able to map out this particular incident, you then went and did the entire route to work out where such a possibility of the future as well.
Right, sir. So for this particular case, we used the 3D twin city mapping data technology again. We mapped the entire incident site area and we brought all of this data back to the office. Now, after processing the data, it becomes almost as real as the real life data that you would be receiving, or rather if you were on site, you would have the same perspectives. So using our data, we didn't have to go to the incident site, but rather sitting in our office, we were able to identify where the rock dislodged itself and the trajectory of the rock also. And we were able to even identify the slope angle. So using this technology, we were able to do our work very efficiently. We saved a lot of time, and ultimately our report was submitted to the government of Nagaland, for which mitigation work was done so that these kind of incidents could be provided in the future.
Can you show us how you flew over the rest of the road as well to be able to simulate these for future incidents?
Right, sir. So we will show you a video now. Basically, we flew a length of 4.3 kilometers and we identified all of the loose rocks and boulders using different sophisticated sensors. So we identified a total of around 13 risk areas. These were all handed over to the NHIDCL and they were made to remove all of these risk areas, the loose boulders that we could identify using the drone data.
And of course, this is not just the only place you've done this. For example, there was a very big fire in an entire district earlier, and you flew drones to try and work out how to control that as well. It was like a grassland fire as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yes, sir. So this was in a valley called Zuku Valley. It's a very popular tourist destination in Nagaland. So unfortunately, some irresponsible campers, they set fire to the entire valley, and it is very inaccessible, this area. So vehicles can also not reach this location. So we dispatched our drone from our office, and these drones, they went and collected the first information data, and it was relayed back to our office, which was then submitted to the government, the line departments who were in charge of the fire tending work. Using this technology, we were able to even help the Indian Air Force about the area of the fire and in which direction the fire was also spreading towards. So this also proved itself to be a very useful tool for the government, sir.
So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of work that is getting done. Very often people think of these being done by major central government agencies like ISRO or Survey of India and so on. But as you can see, even in our state governments out there in remote Nagaland, unbelievable interesting work is getting done. There are talented young scientists who are using this 3D technology, which by the way is even new in the whole world. I mean, there are very few countries in the world, like for example Singapore, that has created these digital twins and are only now learning how to use them. So it is quite extraordinary that you have state governments in India, for example the one I talked about in Kohima, which have already also created these 3D images. They have, as they said, they have accuracy up to 3 to 5 centimeters today, but with a little bit of investment they will have accuracy down to as little as 1 centimeter. Now once they have this kind of detail, what happens is that it allows you to do all kinds of things. As I mentioned, you can begin to put all kinds of data onto this platform and use it for both private uses and public uses. So for example, you will literally, if you have the 1 centimeter accuracy, you will actually be able to keep track of how trees are growing. It's that level of, so an individual tree, its growth will be actually visible over time. You can manage forests, you can manage river systems much more accurately than would be possible in any other way. So the question is, this 3D digital twin for the whole country is something that we will sooner or later build. We can of course build it in the way we did the 2D version. As I said, the navigation tools like Mapples and Google Maps have done this. But I think there is a case of doing this as a public utility as part of India Stack 2.0. And as it happens to be, Survey of India has recently tied up with a private company to try and do this as well. So there are lots of experiments happening this worldwide. But let me assure viewers that here in India, we are on top of things and we are really entering this exciting new world and carrying out our own experiments as well. So thank you, Matung, and thank you to your full team for coming here to do this show. And thank you also for the wonderful work that you are doing. With that, let me bring you to the end of this episode of Economic Sutra, and hope to see you in the next episode of Economic Sutra right here at Sansad TV.